Greetings to all our beautiful listeners. It's another beautiful day, another time. And as you know, that Empowerment Podcast is bringing you these special episodes where we're talking on men's mental health. And yes, as I said on the previous episode, that we will be recording them separately due to the availability of my guest. Remember that yesterday we played you the first part of it, where we had a great guest. I believe we learned a lot from that. And today we are bringing to you another series or another part of it. The second part, we'll be closing it off tomorrow. And with me here on set today, it is Mr. Ratiba Mohale. Mr. Ratiba Mohale is an entrepreneur, speaker, and business insight presenter, which is your empowerment podcast show, The Business Insight. He's the host of it. He's a thought leader, geologist, and strategist. So he's a lot of things, and I like the part where it says he's a thought leader. So you'll be getting a lot of insights on that. Greetings, Mr. Ratiba Mohale.
Greetings to everyone who's listening as well, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited for this conversation, and I think it's a very important conversation to have.
Yeah, Mr. Ratiba, maybe I always ask this to my guest. What is a geologist? On the poster, we wrote that you're a geologist, and you recently graduated, right?
Yeah.
Let us know into a bit of that, just in case someone is interested in geology. What is it and what is it about?
Oh, interesting. It's always interesting because people see geologists, they're like, someone, when they saw the poster, they ask me, wait, are you a geologist? I'm like, yes. What? But you are doing something else, you know? So they were shocked. Yeah, they were shocked at that as well, because it's someone I work with closely in the marketing space. So geology, it's a study of rocks and minerals. So basically, it's someone who studies rocks and minerals, and they usually work in the mines. There's different part of it. So I did exploration. So exploration means I work in the mine to mine your gold, your coals, those minerals, and then be part of that value chain until it is refined into, yeah.
Awesome. So you'll be the one digging our golds, ne? So empowerment is rich.
Definitely. I need to go into that space. Then
Yeah, definitely, bro. No, thank you so much for honoring us. In fact, you're part of the family. As I said, you're also a presenter in the podcast. You host the Business Insight. How has that been?
It has been great. In terms of having conversation with people who are running their own businesses and to get to share their insights and their journeys, because I believe that we can learn a lot from each other.
True, very true.
And people who the problems they've encountered on the road, and what are the things that other people who want to get into business can take, and apply, so that they don't commit the same mistakes. So I think it's a very, very important conversation, and a show that we need to have and to constantly push, so that people are getting insights and more lessons as they are running their business on the day-to-day.
And recently, you just got a co-host on the show, Mrs. Shobete, rather.
Yes.
And I think I cannot wait to hear an episode where you guys, both of you, are on the set. But we are not on that today. Today, we are talking on men's mental health, and one of the reasons why I had to get you to talk on this is because I like how you think, and we've had such conversations before, and we even joined that session where it was a men's session together.
Yeah.
And for you, what is men's mental health as we're specifying it? What is mental health for men?
Yeah. So I think maybe from a original definition on the scientific part of it, it's a condition that affects our emotions and our psychology and our social well-being as human beings, and then you narrow it down to, and you double down into men to say what is men's mental health. So it's still that condition, but with men, there's a lot of factors that affect them, that end up causing them, to be affected emotionally, to be affected psychologically, They are living in a society that is constantly defining them as who they are, and then they need to succumb to those definitions and the pressures, and you can't be an anomaly and be someone different because already the society expects you, and they put certain pressures into you that end up leading to men thinking that what, it's already so much. And the recent one we saw, people like Ricky, taking their lives, and that shows so much of what's going on in their mind, that they're not expressing, and they feel like the environment is not safe for them to express what they are going through, because the environment has already defined you as a certain thing, like you are man, you don't cry, you are strong, you are this, you know but they forget that the same spirit that is inside of a human being, the same soul that is inside of a human being, which is whether inside of a woman or not, that needs to be nurtured. It's the same that needs to be nurtured in men as well. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like that. What I'm picking up, not only looking at the previous episode that I've done with Dr. Makatsini, but also looking even the episode that I did with the ladies. It's the same thing, man, when it comes to what is mental health. But with what we're facing, it's then changes.
Yes.
Changes with what we're facing and how we deal with it. And I think with what you've just touched on and the cases you've touched on, it is that we deal with things differently and we view things differently. As you said, that men are taught to be more secured, and women are easily open up about such things. And maybe um, coming to my second question, can we trace some of the effects that men are facing to how we as men were raised?
Definitely, I agree that it definitely comes from there, because the environment shapes us, right? So the
Yeah.
environment that we grew up in somehow dictates for us. Like I said in the previous answer, that society has defined what a man is, because you can look at this, right? If a woman opens up and then says, I'm going through this, they will suggest she must do therapy, right?
Sure.
But if a man expresses his emotions on how he feels, they will never suggest therapy. They will just say, no, you have to be strong, you have to not tap into your emotions, you have to be this.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
they forget there's a human being behind that as well. So it definitely comes from how we were raised, because most of us, like I said, we are taught to not cry, we are taught to suffer in silence, and also we are given responsibility from a young age, as men. And I was listening to something else last week that challenged me. It said that as a man, your strength is competed for, right? So your strength is computed for, whether you are a young person, sometimes from a young age, because circumstances at home requires you to go work, to go back to school, come back and go find something to do, so you can bring food on the table at home while you are a young boy.
Yeah.
You
True.
see, it's contested every day from the moment you start being young and you're able to grow a bit and do something. Your strength is already contested. Society has already placed it, and how you were raised at home, circumstances already placed it that we don't have food here, so you have to go to school, come back, go do something else for someone else, Michael, to pay you, then go buy bread, and then you put food on the table. So you are still a child there, but your strength is already contested, and it doesn't stop there. It goes on to beyond you getting married, being a wife, being a husband, all these things. Already now you have to divide your strength, and you have been doing that and nobody caters for your emotions in
Sure.
that process. So yes, and one of the effects, maybe I can put like one thing that I think has affected us as men from growing up and how we are bringing, is not having a father. Not having a father in our lives, because we are never taught how to react. We are never taught to speak. We don't have someone to speak to with our sufferings.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't have someone to speak to with the things we go through. Typical example myself. I grew up without a father. I knew my father existed somewhere, right?
Okay.
But I never had an opportunity to speak to someone of a father to say, this is what I think, this is how I feel. I
Mm,
feel like this.
mm,
I had to make decisions on my own. I had to grow up on my own.
mm, mm,
I had to make decisions that I know that whatever decision I make, I have to take accountability for it.
sure.
Till today, I still have a bit of a struggle with having mentors. I learn from people by looking, but I have struggled with having because I didn't have that thing closer to me.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely your environment changes you and has impact in terms of our mental health, even going forward. Because later when we are older and we realize we missed certain things, then we start going back into our mind and say, only if I had this, only if I had that. Then that's where depression comes in. That's
Mm,
where
mm,
being able to reconcile
mm,
with your past.
mm,
And we have to do therapy, even though we feel like it's not something that is our thing.
mm,
But you
mm,
have to do therapy to make sure that you reconcile with some of the things that, okay, I can say myself that, okay, my father was existing somewhere in the world, but why didn't he care much?
ish.
You know, and then I
Yeah,
struggle with that to say, yo, but he was there, he was alive, but he
yeah.
never came to visit, he never came to do all these things.
Mm,
And if you stay in that state depresses you, and you no longer yourself and you can't function so better. So environment definitely has a huge impact in terms of in our mental health, and now we turn out as men specifically.
mm, mm, mm. Thank you for, first of all, just like to commend you for being open about your experiences. Not all men can do what you just did in these few minutes and
Mm,
sharing your honest feelings about it and how you used to think and how you used to see things. I really
mm,
commend, and for that, I think you're a man, because sometimes we think being a man, it's boxing such emotions and boxing such states. Whereas sometimes
yeah.
being a man really is being vulnerable and open about such things. That there was a
Mm,
time where I needed a father figure, and
mm,
when the time now comes where people can
mm,
do that, I'm now having trust
mm.
issues. And
You see.
my follow-up question would be on affirmation. How important was it then
Mm.
for you? How important was it? Do you think men need to be affirmed a bit more than they are?
Definitely, yeah. I think men needs affirmations because affirmations maybe sometimes we don't try to understand what affirmation is. Affirmation just means positive words or
Yeah,
words of encouragement, right? And maybe I make it an example. It's a reason why we go to church because we want to be affirmed, we want to be encouraged, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
both men and women were going to church, so all of us need that. It's not only
exactly.
women or. But I feel like since the society has been too hard on men in terms of how they define them,
Mm,
and also men having not grown up having a father figure or other things that they can look up to,
sure.
they need more of that because maybe your mother struggled to affirm you as a boy because she doesn't know how to do it because she's a lady,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So, but we need affirmations, and affirmations can come from everywhere. It can come from our parents, can come from our partners, can come from our friends. So, but men you definitely do need affirmations. And like I'll keep on going back to myself to say, how did I even come to believe in myself?
Yeah, I was about to
Um,
ask you that.
yes, yes. At some point in my high school, I I I changed my name. I called myself Prosperity. Probably you've seen that name for a while on my social media. So I called myself Prosperity. Prosperity is not my real name. My real name is Ratiba. So prosperity means success, right? So I called myself Prosperity deliberately because I believed I'm a success, and I affirmed myself with that. and that name stuck throughout my high school, even post high school to varsity. Some people know me as Prosperity, but people
Mm.
don't know where the name comes from.
Yeah,
But that name was an affirmation to myself,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, that I believe I'm a success
Mm.
and I'm gonna be successful. And I had
Eish.
to tell myself that because I didn't have anyone to tell me,
Mm. Yeah.
you know.
No.
So
Um.
we
Yeah.
definitely need that as men.
But how long did it take? Because sometimes I hear you and but what I want to ask
Mm,
is that how long did it take? Because sometimes it's different to
mm,
observe
mm.
to take something that is said by someone else, especially if
Yes.
it's easy, in fact, to take something that is said by someone who's a role model to you and who's your father,
Mm,
whom already you have put on a pedestal. And it's a different
yes.
thing to take something that you say from yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm
Mm,
sure you had to, for a couple of times, you had to have that battle. And sometimes
mm,
also come with explaining yourself. Because I've been there where
mm.
you call yourself what you want to see yourself or what you see yourself as, and you find yourself
Yeah.
having to explain yourself to people as to why you're calling yourself this, you know, and
Mm,
they don't understand the affirmation you are building inside of you. And this person, this young son, that is in need of a
mm.
father that you are talking to, as you are continuously saying, you are prosperity. They don't
Mm.
understand that the mind shift that you are trying to or
You
that you
have
are
to do.
tackling at the time. Maybe take us through
Mm.
that before we move on to the next question.
Yeah, no, I think for me I'll say it's the grace of God, and firstly, that I was able to even build up that, and secondly it was small things that were happening around my life, you know. In I was privileged enough to understand, in school, in high school, because that's why I started calling myself that. So I was privileged enough to do well in class, and those small glimpses of me being able to do well, and be maybe on top of the class than everyone else gave me hope that okay, there's something that you can be,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
you still have doubts even in those, like, okay, cool, but your mother can't even afford varsity, you
Ish.
know,
Yeah.
you even gonna get there, you know.
Mm, mm,
But those small things that happens in, like, the little successes in school, where it built a bit of a reputation around my name,
mm,
build a reputation within, my teachers, and then my classmates had they had a different view of me now because you're
mm,
this guy,
mm.
you know. And those smaller things, I accumulated those things. I'm like, cool. If I see these positive things that are happening, it means there's a direction that you're going somewhere, even if there was no one guiding it, you know. But
Yeah.
these small things are giving glimpses. So hence I believe that it can literally be something in out of here. But it was a battle in the mind, because there's a lot of disadvantages more than the advantages that you are seeing, or the things that are making you believe. But there's other things saying, your mother cannot afford this.
Yeah.
You never even got out of the province. You don't even know where you wanna go to school. All
Mm.
those smaller things, because you're in a village. So, and you haven't seen outside the village. So you just imagine and dream,
Oh,
So yeah, but that was a long process of doing that, and I constantly believe that. And I never even had a conversation about my changed name with anyone. I just changed my name on Facebook and kept it. And then people who I was friends with on Facebook and they're at home, they'll keep on calling me the hey Prosperity. I'm like, sure, but they don't know what they're doing.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they called me with that name. They quickly called me with that name, and they don't know what they were doing constantly
Mm,
when they use that name, because I know that name was deliberate.
mm. Yeah. Hey, yeah. That is something. That is something. Talk to us about. We know that as men, I think we've already touched a bit on this one,
Mm,
but I want us to go into it
mm,
now. Um, we know that as men, we,
yes.
we bottle things up, and we even
Mm,
encounter situations where we need to express how we feel rather than bottle the emotions. Um, how can
mm,
men handle such a situation? Maybe let's say it's
mm,
passing of a loved one, maybe it's heavy stress at work,
Mm,
or maybe your business is shutting down.
mm,
Things are not, in fact, going according to your plan, and and intention, and how can men
mm.
handle such a situation, an emotional situation, to be specific?
I think it's always key to talk to someone, right? Um, it's always important to. That's how it's important to have friends. That's how important to have groups of people around you. Could be a pastor, could be anyone that you trust, but it is very, very important to speak to someone because, and this is what we are taught. Like we bottle things out. It comes out in our relationships because we can't communicate our emotions. And one thing that a relationship does, it confronts how you communicate with the next person because this person is here, you know. So you have to speak to someone. You just have to speak to someone. But it's a journey, I guess, in terms of how we can be in touch with ourselves
Yeah,
and our emotions as men. So it's a journey that you need to take so that you are able to be self-aware. You are able to know when you are not being yourself.
yeah,
You're able to know when you are being overwhelmed that you need to communicate.
sure.
But yeah, but we need, you need to have a community of men or your friends or your guys who are. That's why I say friends serve different purposes, right? There are friends for different things. There are friends for businesses. There are friends for fun. There are friends for different, dynamics of
Mm,
your life. So they
mm,
need to be friends where you like, I'm not okay mentally, and we
mm,
dissect this. Can I
sure.
offload and we speak? And that sometimes doesn't have to be a therapist per se, but if you at a level where you need a therapist, you can go for that. But the people around you that you trust can serve,
Mm,
as that, they can serve as the people that listens and hear you
mm,
the
mm,
same way you do for them as
mm,
well. But I think another way to first thing that we need to do as men is to be in touch with our emotions, like to try to work on ourselves and find ourselves, and so that we are self-aware of the person we are. And then when tough things happen, and that you feel like you are carrying so much, you need to have people that you can offload to, that
yeah.
will give you, yeah, that'll give you an honest opinion, that won't judge you, that won't do anything, they just say, okay, cool, you'll be fine, or this is okay, and
Mm,
and you are okay to be emotionally okay to this, you are right there, this is right, this is where, let's trace where it comes from,
mm,
but
mm,
it's important to have the people that you can speak to, time and time again.
mm, mm. Thank you so much for that answer. But I was just checking. There are a
Mm.
lot of stats that are really posing a negative, and they are showing something negative about us.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
on the first episode, the one I did with the ladies, we read a
Mm,
stat that said about 400 million people worldwide are suffering from a mental illness. Either could be
mm,
anxiety, depression, you know, suicidal thoughts, all of these things. And
yes.
recently, on the episode that I did with Dr. Makatini, he shared that the highest rate on 2019 in South Africa, it was on
Mm,
suicide, and
mm,
90% of it, the majority contributor of that number, it was men or male.
mm,
And
mm,
that shows that there's something happening with us men that we are not
mm,
sharing. When you started this series, you talked on someone who's well known who committed suicide. I think it was the previous year or early this year.
yes.
I'm not sure when.
Mm,
And a lot of it has been happening. It's not like it was the first time with him. Again,
yes.
showing that there's something happening with us men. How can we deal
Mm.
with that? Your views?
I think that comes from a lot of things. Um, like we said, it comes from a society that has defined men that is unrealistic.
Okay, sure,
Um, there's pressures that are put on men that are unrealistic,
sure.
and and the men who don't meet those standards feel like,
Mm,
what's the purpose of being here?
yeah, yeah, sure.
And because I cannot meet certain, things. Therefore, I don't deserve certain things in the society. Um, so one of the reasons, I think one of the reasons why the doctor can say in the previous year the highest state of suicide, or mental health, it's because we come from a COVID space,
Yes, yes, post-COVID.
and yeah, and COVID did something to our mind because it paused life,
Mm,
right? It paused life in a way that um, people were no longer able to do the things that they used to do to escape reality
mm,
of their
yeah.
day,
Mm,
you know. Um, and now they can't go groove because alcohol was masking some of the issues that you face, was masking childhood traumas, was masking
mm.
the lack of a father, was masking,
And dealt with pain. Mm,
yeah, dealt with pain,
mm.
and it was masking a lot of things,
Sure.
and therefore you were confronted with those things head on
Ish.
um,
Oh,
during COVID. That's why, maybe to digress a bit, you saw the number of abuse going up, domestic abuse going up,
yes,
right?
sir.
And it was because now this person is with this person every day, and they're facing their reality of saying, "This is my wife. This is the person I'm with every day." But they used to find ways to escape that, but
Sure.
they cannot. You know. So now you are frustrated. You don't know how to deal with this
Ish.
person that is here, and
Sure.
there's so many other things. At work they are cutting down. At work they are giving you half. They are giving
Yeah.
you half keys. So hence I'll go back and say, for us, to deal with these things is as men, we need to do self work.
Yeah.
And I feel
Self-introspect.
like, yeah, women are big on this in terms of doing self work, self care, taking care of themselves. And if you maybe check the state, they might speak to say more women are going to therapy than men, you know. That might show the intention of how far women wants to take to work on themselves compared to men. So we need to face our reality. We need to work on ourselves,
Mm,
um,
mm.
and deal with our issues. Because if you know yourself and you know you as a person, the
Sure.
standards of the world, might not dictate anything for you,
Mm, mm,
right? Because the other thing is also we attach value of ourselves to things that we have,
mm,
you know.
mm,
And
mm.
then when now you are in COVID and you are not working, and then you
Hey,
can't attach yourself to your work anymore.
exactly.
Who
Oh,
are you as a person? And then now you have a struggle of identity there to say, am I my job or am I Ratiba as a person?
And I think a lot of men are suffering from that, thinking that we are made by by our achievements rather than our true identity
Hmm.
and discovery
Yes.
of who I am. And I
Yeah.
think this also takes us back to the story you shared on you having first to find out who are you and identifying yourself
Mm-hmm.
and naming yourself and introducing yourself again to people as prosperity rather than identifying yourself with the achievements you did in class and you did around your community. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's something.
Yeah, yeah. No, like I was saying, the key thing there, it's for us to do self work. We need to be intentional about it, do self work. And when we do self work, we'll find the things that need fixing.
Mm, mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And when we find the things that need fixing, we'll be able to fix them. And then we'll be better people in the society.
mm.
And then whatever outcomes or whatever definition that a society define of a man, it'll just be okay, that's what the society define, but that's not who I am.
Yes, sir.
And you will be a pleasant person to be experienced as a human being and as a man. That then therefore it makes different that even the person you date or you marry, they will define you differently from what the society say,
Mm.
because you are this person.
Yeah.
And you're a person who's content with yourself, you're a person who's not intimidated by the success of your partner or others, you know,
Mm.
but you are in your mission of whatever that you have set your mission to, and you are content in that, and that will definitely make a difference in terms of us maybe thinking that we have not done enough, whereas you have done so much, but because
So,
you have moved from yourself and you wanna be Ratiba next door,
mm, wow.
and it brings a lot of issues for us.
Quick question before we move to the ones we prepared. Do you think a lot of men don't haven't discovered themselves?
No, we don't.
Mm,
No,
okay.
I don't think we are anywhere closer to that.
Mm. So
Yeah.
a lot of these traumas, mental illnesses, mental breakdown we're experiencing, it's because
Mm.
we having this pressure of becoming this ideal picture that has been placed.
Yes.
Mm.
And we don't. And then the ideal picture, the problem with it is that it is something that you must become quick. There's no
Yeah,
process in it.
yeah. We are sold an image, not the process.
You see. So the hard work in it, the day to day, doing of it to be that person, we are not told of that, but we are told of you're supposed to be this. And then if you are not that, then you are not a man. And then we take that definition and we say, I'm not there, right?
Mm,
And then you struggle with your everyday, and you are doing well, you are okay,
mm,
but it's just a journey to that person.
mm. Um, okay. Thank you for that answer. Wow, we are getting somewhere with this conversation. We are definitely getting somewhere. Um, Thank you, Mr. Atiba, for that answer. Yeah, man, a lot of introspect and a lot of working in ourselves has to be done, especially us as men.
Mm,
And
mm,
this ideal picture that we are talking about has to. It's either we have to change it, because if it was made by men, then men can change it. Because I don't think
mm,
that this picture that we are talking about, that we have this ideal picture of being a man, is it really that much needed for this generation and age we live in? Because some part of it, when we look at it, they don't fit in this day and age that we're in. Yet it's still pressurized as if as in a man does this. And how can we apply the same picture that we have been sold for so many years, whereas even women are improving and upgrading themselves the way they are? So this
mm.
picture is posing an idea that might not last for men. In fact, I still
Mm,
see it as adding more mental breakdown to men rather than empowering them into becoming real men and powerful men, or whatever that it's trying to do. But I
mm,
guess where I'm going is that we're now seeing this thing that a lot of men who are trying their level's best to be there for their kids,
mm,
they're trying to
mm,
be a good man, to be the good guy. A lot of them, they're experiencing this thing of more pressure is added to them, whereas they are the ones who are present, and the ones who are not,
mm.
they are. It's as if it's normal. It's treated normal. I
Yeah.
your questions. I even wrote ngesizulu ukuthi kushawe donsayo. What
Mm,
can we say on that? How did we end up there? Why are we adding pressure to the one
mm.
who's trying rather than relieving them and showing that what you're doing is right, and a lot of men should be doing as you are doing.
Yeah, no, I think the reality of the matter is that we have the responsibility to change that.
Hmm.
Like I said, that if you do self work as a man and become content with where you are in your journey that you are taking, whatever standard that the society puts on,
Yeah.
won't stick on you, because you know that you are in your journey of becoming who you wanna become,
Sure.
right? And also it's accepting realities, and how do we deal with the realities that women are becoming successful today. You are
Hmm.
most likely to marry a woman that probably earns more than you. you know
Sure.
um how do
Yeah.
you then still become a man in that setup,
Hmm.
right? So it's you now, uh becoming you. There's a reason why God makes you a man and make
Hmm.
your partner a woman,
Hmm.
right? Is because there's things that are instilled in you that you'll be able to to perform or assets as comparison to women, and there are things that women have that they'll be able to do that you cannot be able to do as a man.
Sure.
You see,
Yeah.
so I think yeah, so a lot of things, like the picture that you just mentioned, that is stagnant and doesn't change with our times, and understand where we are today. It's
Mm.
one picture that is definitely affecting us a lot.
Mm.
But like I said, it's more of us being able to keep on working ourselves as men. Make sure you put more effort in yourself, put a more effort in knowing yourself, your values as the man, and you know your vision, you know what you bring into anything, either partnership or whatever, what you bring as a man that is valuable, even beyond resources, so that the resources are addition to who you are and what you can bring. If you bring a level of wisdom in whatever you're coming into, then you are wise, and then
Yeah.
resources comes, and then you can be able to use them wisely, you know.
Mm.
But it's a work of us, it's a work of self, because it's our responsibility to make sure that we change the trajectory of how the society is today.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, and directed in a direction that we wanted to go. And then
Mm.
that means we have to be men that are willing to be self-aware, men that are willing to do work on themselves, men that are willing to know their value, you
Mm.
know, men that are willing to still be because unfortunately, like I said, when I said your strength is contested, is that you cannot be a honorable man only in your church or in company. You have to be within the
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
you know. So when we become those men, the society will adapt to us and say,
Mm.
this is the caliber of men that is here today, that are responsible, that are present, that are valuable men in the society, that are doing their best in their work, and they are moving forward.
Mm. Mm.
You know,
Um,
and yeah.
Part of the things that I forgot to add on your profile as I was sharing it before we began the series is that you're an award-winning philanthropist, and it's something that not most men are into. You know, being available in the community and doing a lot of
Mm,
work that show us as men as
mm,
caring. Hence, it's
mm,
easy if, or it's even acceptable if it's a woman who's, called a
mm,
philanthropist, or, who's doing philanthropy work. And even a lot of NGOs and NPOs are opened up and, and set up by women.
mm,
For us men, how important is it for us to be involved, to be part of the move, to be in our society? And how will that change the narrative and the picture that is there about men, and you mentioned something on the importance of having a father. How will it change even
mm,
the picture the young boys at school in primary have about being a man? And I know that you've
mm,
also been doing a lot of work with another company. I'm not going to mention their name in case I say it wrong. And I
mm,
saw that company also deals with philanthropy sort of work. And how has
mm.
that, helped you to reach out even to younger boys who were at the stage that you were once in, as you just shared your story in the beginning?
Mm. No, I think like I said, it is very important for us men to be resourceful in our societies. Like I said, you cannot be an honorable man in your own house only.
Mm,
It must transect into the environment. Um, I think if we go to scripture, we are not called leaders just by name, and for that reason only.
yeah,
It is because we need to influence our spaces.
sure.
Um, we need to influence where we are, and if you can influence where you are, then it becomes impossible for you to make any difference or a change. So it is, I agree with you that when you look at most of NGOs are opened by women, right?
Mm, sure.
And are run by women. Like most of NGOs that I see, women are going for that.
Mm, true.
And you're like, where are the men to also stand up in the community? Maybe things like crime, things like rape, things like all those things wouldn't be possible if we were responsible enough. Let's say
Mm,
we want to stand up and start things against these causes, against these illnesses in the society. we are the one who can literally solve these things, because we are also perpetrators, so we can be able to speak to other men who are same as us to say, bruh, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. That's not what defines you as a man. This is what defines you as a man. So
Mm,
if men stand up in communities and become responsible and take control of the communities and be valuable members of society,
mm,
a community makes up, a nation, and a nation becomes
exactly.
part of the world. So
Mm,
if it starts in the society, and then in the community, it starts in the home, then the community, and then it's the nation as a whole. And then if we have one vision and one goal to say, this type of men will stand up and stand against crime. This type of
mm,
men will stand up and stand against young boys abusing drugs, young boys
mm,
doing all these things. Because
mm.
it starts there. The young boys that are doing crime are gonna become men, and they're not gonna change their behavior.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they become men who are doing crime when they have to be men of the society when their older generation is gone.
Mm, mm.
So we have to be part of the change. So we need to get involved a lot in our communities as men, and we'll see the direction of the community going into the right way.
Mm, mm. No, thank you so much for that. I hear you and I fully agree. Um, One more question for you. A lot of men are angry, and
Yes.
it's because of a lot of things. Some of them we've already touched on them. But
Hmm.
what makes us so angry, and why do we always opt for violence? And,
Hmm.
you know, I understand that men are muscular and it's easy for us to take that route, because we
Hmm.
are naturally built with a bigger bone. But why
Hmm.
are men so angry? Because I think masculinity and anger are two things, and
Hmm.
we cannot address both of them the same way. Because anger deals with a
Yeah.
lot of things that you've experienced, and masculinity deals with how you're built and how you're born. So
Yeah.
why are men so angry?
Yeah. I think men are angry because of a lot of things, right? Um, they're angry because they feel like they're not seen in the society.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, they feel like they're not seen. They feel like they're only valuable by what they can provide, and not
Hmm.
as a human being
Hmm.
who has emotions, who also can feel. They feel
Yeah.
like they're not heard.
Yeah.
This can apply to a lot of things in relationships, all those things.
Hmm.
But they feel like they are not heard. You don't listen to how they feel, because, like I said, they are not meant. Society says they are not meant to show emotions. That means you cry inside, and you don't show your tears or your
Sure.
emotions.
Sure.
You know, and those things, if you cry inside, you bottle them, and they're gonna burst out. That's where the anger and the violence come into play, because now this thing that's been inside for so long is
Hmm.
the one that's coming out. And because we are physical people, and our response of things is physical, because we are
Yeah.
naturally physical.
Yeah.
you know so, and hence the violence and the anger, frustration that comes out of that becomes, the result becomes everything else around us being hurt,
Hmm.
or damaged. But I think generally it's because we feel like we are not heard,
Hmm.
and we feel like we are not seen in the society.
Hmm.
And yeah, and we are only seen as human, as men, by what we can produce, um and not me coming as a human being before anything else I can produce. Yes, I
Sure.
understand that, there's that's also part of my responsibility to an
Hmm.
extent, to make sure that if I take responsibility,
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
household, I need to take care of it. But see me as a human being first as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
you know See me as a human being in the context of relationship. If you are able to say, I need a partner who can be my safe space as a lady, you must also be the safe space for that person.
Sure. Yeah.
That means you're able to recognize how they feel, their
Mm,
emotions,
mm.
you know,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
those things. So, but I think, yeah, generally we feel like we are not seen unless we have stuff attached to us
Yeah.
that are pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
you are seen as something else.
Mm. No, I
Yeah.
fully hear you and understand, and I agree with a lot of things you're saying on that. Yeah. As men, we are really more recognized when we have something more than nothing. It's a different story when you have something.
Mm.
It's a different story when you have nothing.
Yeah.
But looking at this as a country, how far have we progressed in understanding mental health, especially after COVID? Is this getting the attention it should be getting and the proper budgets it deserves? Because
Mm.
as we know that mental
Yeah.
illness also goes as far as, needing medical attention. Hence, in this episode, we brought a neuroscientist, a doctor, a brain doctor, because we understand that this goes as far as it's beyond just having a person to talk to. It reaches a stage where you need to get medical attention. So, do you think as a
Mm.
country we understand this enough, and do you think we are doing the right measures to deal with it, and is it getting the right budgets that it should be getting?
I think as a country in general, maybe even on the ground, um, COVID did something. It did a mind shift where you see a lot of conversations are happening around mental health. Even though I still feel generally they are hosted by women,
Yeah.
and men are not much participating in it. But you see a man in the panel and stuff.
Mm,
But I feel like COVID did something where it shifted us and we started paying attention.
mm, mm.
So there's a lot of conversation going on the ground about mental health,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's gaining traction. And even the death of the people who are on the forefront and famous people also forces us to be aware and start having those conversations. I think in terms of the conversations on the ground, there's progress that is going forward. Maybe in terms of the government per se and what they're doing,
Yeah.
um, contributing to that. Um, I don't think they've moved a bit, into the right direction because they could provide. Maybe I don't know, but I think they can do things like providing free psychologists from the
Mm,
government departments,
mm.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
health departments, and make them accessible because paying for a psychologist is a lot. I must say, for a black person to pay for an hour, it's a lot of money, and you need to be able to afford. So for those who cannot afford, we can get access to those things, and somehow the government can supplement those services so that we are able to deal with the issues that we're dealing with. But I think there are organizations that are doing well, that are having those conversations. Your gender, Sonke gender, something justice. I think there's an organization like that, and
Mm,
others that are coming out to have but I see conversation is happening a lot. If you look at
yeah.
on social media, there's a lot of organizations that are having driving that conversation, which I think that is very important,
Okay.
and it's good to do that.
Mm, mm. No, I hear you, bro. I hear you, and I understand. With the experience that you've shared with us earlier on, your personal experience, what advice would you give to someone who's going through what you went through? I remember that you said you talked about your father and his absence and how much you felt
Mm.
you needed him, and you even talked on the affirmation that you wish you have heard from him. Talk to maybe a young boy, a young Ratiba at high school, maybe at varsity, maybe even in primary school.
Mm.
What advice would you
Mm.
say to that person listening?
Yeah, so I think what I will say is that it's not your fault as a person. That person is old enough to decide to leave, so he decided to not be part of your life. So I think you mustn't blame yourself, mustn't blame your space, because that does a lot on you than the person, because the person doesn't know you are angry, and when you're angry every day, and it affects you. every single day. So yeah, that first starts there that okay, cool. He decided to do whatever he decided. That's fine. How am I gonna move forward with what I have?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can say, yeah, I can say even though it's a process, it's a process because even now, I'll I contemplate a lot on how a type of a father I'm gonna be. When I get
Mm,
married, when I become a husband, and all those
mm,
things.
mm,
So it's a process. It's a process of life that you'll have to go through it,
mm.
but you must be intentional about it so that you don't end up being, depressed and going through so much that it affects how you live and how you do things every single day. Focus on the things that you can do, that you can control. And like I did, I focused on school, and school has helped me out to get out and become the person I am today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
focus on all those important things that you can drive and you have a control on, and then you constantly deal with that. I think it's a constant thing that you deal with it.
Mm,
And at some point in your life, if you can get mentors, you can get people that can play father figure roles, pastors,
yeah.
all those people, then you can go even that route as well. Because I think there's always someone who's seeing you as a someone who's going to be a better person in the future, and they'll take over and help you out.
Yeah. No, most definitely. Thank you so much, man. I hear you. My final question. I have two remaining final questions for you in this session.
Mm.
One will be on social, and it says, how can lack of boundaries in social media, this instant
Mm.
the communication consistently and the adrenaline rush it creates, how does it affect our mental health, and how can we deal with that?
Social media has affected us, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has affected us. It's still affecting us. It's a space where you see instant gratification of things, and you doubt yourself as to are you not progressing at a good pace enough,
Yeah,
because people of your same age are buying cars, they've got
yeah.
flats, they've got houses,
And the
you
pressure is
know.
hard for men.
Yes, definitely. And you like, did I choose a wrong career? Why my career is not progressing as someone else? And because we have different careers, some people careers are just you shoot up to the top. It's structured the way it is, and they don't struggle much. Um, so you are can't even buy, a GTI nyana, my friends are buying it. You
Sure.
see, and we see all those things there. So it can mess up your mind, and it really has affected us. I think what we can do is learn to separate it as a tool. You know,
Yeah,
learn to
yeah.
separate it as a tool that is it's a tool that I can use, but it's not me. It's not who I am. Right?
Yo,
It's a tool
sure,
that I can
sure.
use. Yeah, define it.
Mm.
It's a tool that I can use to do certain things. Could be work, could be whatever that I want to do. Right? With
Yeah.
it, it must never be me. It must never consume me. I must never stay there. Get time to do breaks as well. Occasional breaks are very important, in terms of taking them out.
Mm.
Um, so that you don't find yourself living in that world, and your reality is actually better, but you feel like it's not better because
Hey.
I always say that sometimes you feel like you've not achieved enough because you can't carry your things that you have outside for the world to see and clap for you.
Mm.
Therefore, you feel like you've not achieved enough
Mm.
because yours is not a car that people can clap for outside.
Mm.
But you've got
Yo.
stuff that you've got a bed that you own, you've got an apartment, you've got utensils, you've got pots, you've got a
Sure.
fridge, you've got a
Mm.
couch that you bought, and those are your journey. Those are things you own. But
Mm.
because you can't carry them to the world to see, you feel like you've not achieved enough.
Mm.
You know.
Yo.
So we need to find a way, define what social media is for you, and use it for that. If it's That's why for me, you probably see work a lot more than anything else on my
True.
social media, because I
True.
define it as a tool that can drive my work.
Mm.
You
Very true.
know, and that's it. You that's what you will see. You'll never see anything about relationship. You'll never see anything else. But you'll see work and where I am and whatever those things. because that's what I define the tool to be, and I can
mm,
easily step away from it, and the tool remain a tool.
mm, mm. Yeah, I like that. Define it.
Yes.
Wow, I like that. The importance of defining socials. And I think when it comes to
Mm,
this one, it's especially since I think all of us are still at the hype of it. No one is new and
mm,
old to this social thing. We are all still at the hype
yes.
of it, and it
Yeah.
affects us all, both genders, equally so.
Yes.
And
Definitely. Definitely.
and if we do not get control over it now, I'm just imagining the
Mm,
kids, our kids, how will they be? You know, and
yeah.
wow, I like that. I think we should consistently remind ourselves now and again that we need to
Mm,
define our socials, because once we've done that, we have, we have conquered it. We have
mm,
built the boundaries around it. No, thank you so much for honoring us.
definitely.
But my final question before I let you go is, please list for us practical steps that one can
Mm,
use to fight with mental health, or to develop mental health and to fight mental illnesses.
mm. I think if you can afford, please go see therapists, see the people that can help you. Um, because I don't want to say go do this when you cannot afford, you know. So if
Yeah.
you can afford to do that, if you cannot, find someone you can speak to. It could be a pastor, it could be your friend, it could be a bigger brother, someone that you're comfortable with and you trust them. They will give you sound advice. Find those people, or you can be friends. It depends, whoever you trust. But speak to someone. That's very very important. Um, and don't bottle things out inside, because there's a time when they're gonna burst out,
Mm,
and when they burst out, it might not be good, or it might not be in a space where you didn't want it to show, and then it end up
mm,
not, could be at work, could be anywhere, and then it comes out in a space that is not supposed to come out, and then you are deemed as unprofessional or something
mm.
else.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful of those things. Therefore, we need to speak a lot. And I think other things is journaling, man. Write stuff down. Write stuff down. It helps a lot. When you have a lot in your mind, write down. Write
Mm,
down. Take them out of your head, and then you can. That's when you can speak about them, when you've written them down. You know.
mm, mm,
So that's another thing that we can practice as people, and even as men, to learn to write down, and not keep stuff in our heads. When you write something down, it feels like it's out of
yeah.
your mind into your paper. Now you're able to discuss it as something on the paper. Um, there, so do that, and I think exercising as well help us with our body.
Mm,
So exercise, run, do all those things that you can do, activities, and also just be intentional about learning about yourself and your emotions.
mm, mm,
That's very key. Yeah. So be intentional about that. Notice how you react on certain things, and work on those things. Um, you know, so if you are someone who struggles with getting feedback, could be at work, could be from anyone commenting on anything, work on that, and be able to separate whether it's something that you can learn from, or someone is just being mean, but you're able to separate those two things so that it doesn't affect you much,
sure.
and you're able to receive a constructive criticism more than thinking, this person is fighting with me. Only when you are able to define those things and being aware of that. So yeah, so constantly, be intentional about learning about yourself and your emotions as a man, and that will help a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, bro. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and also, most of all, thank you for sharing your journey. I think a lot of
Thank
men
you.
will resonate with this, and what you shared is definitely what we needed, and the
Mm,
reality of most men in our country. And
yeah,
I think we as men need to do something. I think it will take a man to fix a man, and
definitely.
to stand up against this, not just on October when it's Mental Awareness Month, not when it's
Mm,
Men's Month. Do we even have that? But yeah, we are not there.
mm,
But
yeah,
we need to work on it. We need to work on it,
definitely.
and we are the first ones to appreciate ourselves. I think what women
Mm-hmm.
did with when they empowered one another, when they were intentional and built one another and made a hype
Mm-hmm.
around everything that has them, that changed the
Mm-hmm.
narrative and how we view them. We realize that,
Definitely.
oh, these people are powerful. And I think
Yeah.
as us as men, as people who were already viewed as powerful and leaders, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for someone to view a man as powerful and all of that. If we can then take that back, not in an egomaniac way, but take it in a
Mm-hmm.
genuine way of saying, I want to be empowered and I want to empower a brother, it would do a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It would do a lot for us.
Definitely.
So thank you for your time. Thank you
Definitely.
for sharing and thank you for being open. And I hope a lot of men heard and they have been empowered. So your parting words before we let you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want to say thank you so much for considering me. And I hope that the conversation will help someone else out there who is a young man like myself, to just constantly be on that journey of being a better person,
Sure.
and of learning about ourselves more than anything,
Mm,
and also just building up ourselves as valuable men, in the society, and
mm,
just go, make a difference in our
mm,
communities and make a
mm,
difference in whatever
mm,
space that we get into,
mm.
and then ultimately the world will become a better place.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Thank you so much for making time for us and for sharing. We truly enjoyed this episode. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, that we will continuing. We'll be having Mr. Tulani Yaya, who will also be sharing his part on this conversation. Remember that we had Dr. Kylie Makatini, and we just did, or what currently are listening to the episode with Mr. Ratiba Mohale, and then our final one will be with Mr. Tulani Gumede, an author. Yes, definitely listen to all of them, but don't forget to start with the women's mental health, where we had Mrs. Tidi, Matidi So Gaba, alongside with Nombumelelo Gaba. Those were two first guests on the women's mental health. They shared a lot. Definitely go check that out. But most an important thing about your favorite podcast, the Empowerment Podcast, don't forget that we have a merchandise available for you to purchase. Definitely hit us up on all our social platforms. Let us know what you would like to purchase and your size and preference, and then we'll definitely make sure that you get your packages. And don't forget to spread the empowerment through clothing. Wear its rockets and send us pictures of yourself rocking the Empowerment Podcast merchandise. We'd love to see you. Don't forget to buy for your children, your adults, your husband, everyone around you that you feel they could rock the Empowerment Podcast merchandise. And definitely don't forget to tag us when you're taking those snaps of yourself. We'd love to see them. And don't forget, we are here to empower you. As the podcast, we truly appreciate your time. We appreciate your availability. We appreciate you considering us from all other podcasts. There are millions and millions of podcasts. We appreciate you and we love you. Don't forget, we are here to inspire you, equip you, and to empower you. Thank you so much.
Empowerment Podcast. Inspire, equip, and empower.